This is an HSC podcast hosted by students and for the students, where we talk about all layers of your well-being.
The views and expressions said in this podcast episode belong solely to the guests of this episode. They do not represent one structure or population as a whole. If you are concerned for yourself, a friend, or a fellow HSC student, please reach out to the care team at 817-735-2570, and they can help you navigate your crisis.
Welcome to the brand new student-led podcast from the Be Well team. I'm your host, Dhruvi Pradhan, a second-year student at the School of Public Health, and this is my co-host, Sophia Brockman.
Hi, I'm Sophia. I'm with the Office of Care and Civility. I serve as our student services specialist, so I do a lot of our compliance programming, social media management, and now I get to co-host with Dhruvi.
Hello, listeners. Welcome back to Wellbeing Unlocked, where we discuss navigating life as a student and all things well-being. I'm your host, Dhruvi, and today we're exploring the challenges and opportunities that come with life after graduating. We have someone super special joining us, Claribel Flores, who just graduated from HSC not too long ago. But before we get into the good stuff, let's hear from Claribel herself. Claribel, why don't you introduce yourself to our listeners?
Sure. Hi, everyone. So my name is Claribel Flores. I recently graduated from HSC. I was in the School of Public Health, so I got my Master's of Public Health in the Maternal and Child Health concentration. So great program. Shout out to them. I'm also an Aggie. So, I feel like I always have to mention that because I'm a proud Aggie. And I don't know. I'm a runner. I love being active. I love spending time with my family. So, yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Can I say, I don't think Dhruvi's ever called one of our guests special, so that's a real treat.
I love that. I know, I heard that, and I'm like, okay, I really need to get it together and be a great guest today, so.
You'll be fine.
I'm excited.
Also, my family's at UT, so we got rivalry.
Thanks for joining us, Claribel. Now let's kick things off with some fun icebreaker questions. So, what's your word of the day?
Positivity.
Ooh, good one.
Yeah.
Okay, what about your intention for the day?
My intention. I think my intention for today and any other day, honestly, is just be present in the moment. I know we'll get into it eventually, but I've just really learned to appreciate the moment. But yeah, definitely that.
That's beautiful. Okay, one last thing. One self-care item that you focused on recently.
Ooh. Just doing my makeup.
Mm-hmm.
That's like my best or like my favorite type of self-care because I just love makeup in general. So for me, just doing my makeup, not every morning, right? But just like kind of when I have to, when I want to, it's just something that I love when it comes to self-care. So, yeah.
That's actually something new that we heard. I
Makeup?
never knew that makeup could be like a self-care
Well, I think
item
that
for
shows that
some.
once you graduate, it's it can be anything. It doesn't have to just be sleep. I can actually have a hobby now.
I've always loved makeup though, so I think for me it's always been a thing of self-care because for me makeup is art.
Mm-hmm.
So I see it that way. But
That
yeah, I
actually
don't know.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cassie was talking about at the resource fair yesterday, when you feel your best, you show up as your best.
Period.
And so I think that's a great sentiment to have.
Yeah.
It is. So as a recent graduate, how did you approach your life after college?
I think I approached it by being spontaneous, because I feel like whenever you're in school, especially in grad school, because grad school and undergrad are very different. When it comes to grad school, everything is hectic. You have so much going on, internship, job, classes, and you have to plan everything out. So I think for me, after I graduated, everything has just been spontaneous. Hey, do you want to do this? Sure. Are you, I don't know, are you down to go right now to do this? Sure. So I think that's how I've been approaching it, as well as just, I don't know, like I said, being in the moment. Because I think that's very important too, just kind of enjoying every second of it. Because being a student, you can enjoy that because of the fact that you have a plan and all that, if you're that type of person. But once you're out, it can be a very weird transition into being a student and life. But that's why I'm like, okay, let's just be spontaneous and live in the moment and just enjoy it. Because right now I don't have homework and I'm chilling. So, yeah.
So how did you feel like the first day after? Like you've graduated now, you have no assignments, no homework to do. So what was the first thing that you did once you like just graduated?
It feels
Like it's done.
weird because it's such a weird transition because you go, like I said, you have so much to do whenever you're a student, especially in finals. Like you go from finals, I have a final this day, and then the next day I have another one, and then on Friday I have another one. And then you finish everything, you turn everything in, and you're kind of like, oh, that's it? And then you also have a moment as in like, okay, I have something due. But not really because you graduated. So it's a very weird thing. But then eventually kind of like a week after, like 2 weeks after, it settles in.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah. When did you graduate?
So I graduated May 2023.
Okay, I
So
graduated
actually-
July from their online program
Uh-huh.
in public health. And yeah, it was. I remember everybody was like, "What are you gonna do when you're done?" I was
Right?
like, "What do you mean? Like, I'm just gonna keep going, I guess, and like waking up, finding something new to do."
Right?
But it is like I still have that feeling. Like it'll be a Sunday night, and I'm like, "Oh my god, what is
This
due?"
Sunday scaries.
I'm like, "What do I have due today?" And sometimes it feels like, I'm like, "Is there something due for like at my job that I'm like missing? Is there
Right.
homework?"
Like, how do I prepare myself for the week now? Like, yeah, I don't know. It's a very weird transition, but everyone goes through it. So, yeah, it's important to talk about, honestly.
Yeah, I was like, you do 2 decades of school,
Right.
and you lose such a huge part of your identity. That was the huge part. I
Right.
loved being a student.
Yeah.
And so now I'm like, I don't want to, like, I'm a student of life. Like, like, it's,
What do we do now?
Wait,
Oh, definitely.
hold on. Loved being a student?
I loved school.
You too?
Sometimes. I feel like sometimes I just kind of need a plan. And that's what school gives you. Like, it really gives you, like, a structure plan. And then you kind of get out of that environment and you're like, what am I doing? So everything's, like, weird. Like, all the times are weird or something. But, yeah, I guess it depends.
Yeah, I remember, like,
So, yeah.
telling somebody in undergrad, I was like, I'm really worried about, like, when I'm done, like, with school,
Yeah.
like, who I'm going to be. And they're like, oh, you're just going to be, like, an overworker, like, in your professional life. And so, like, when I graduated, I was like, I will not be an overwork. I will do my job and I will go home.
Yeah.
I'm like, I will defeat them. Like, they will not
Yeah.
find me.
I wonder if that's happening.
It is. I'm a very efficient worker. Ask my team. You can leave a review at blah, blah, blah.
Period.
You can email Lauren.com.
We'll do that.
You can email them. Let them know how I'm doing.
I mean, it's just that listening to both of y'all talk about this, it's kind of almost sinking in because I'm graduating like in a month. And I'm like,
Yeah.
is that what I'm going to go through? Should I be prepared? Should I have something ready for me once I graduate? Like, this is what you're going to feel. This is what you should do to stop feeling that. And just not be so overwhelmed with, I need to find a job. I need to
feel
now
like-
start doing this.
No, I feel like listening to other people's experience is always helpful because that lets you know that you're not alone. But you're going to have to feel it and like find out on your own because everyone they go through it differently. For me, it was just weird. but I mean, not a lot of things changed, I guess. It's just the pace of like being in school and being outside of school. But yeah, I feel like you'll find out on your own way.
So
yeah.
for all the listeners out there, you find out on your own way.
There you
Are
go.
You're walking, right?
Yep.
Walking.
The stage.
Yeah, I think. I don't know.
Did you walk?
I did.
Yeah, so I didn't. So when I like turned everything in, I was like,
Oh.
Okay. I was like, I'm done.
That is
Cool.
different.
Yeah, and so like y'all have something more to look forward to. Like I feel like I was just like, okay, now I'm bored. Like that's life. Like where's my diploma?
What? That's very interesting because yeah, that's true. Once you finish like your last assignment, you look forward to like your
The
graduation.
parties and like getting
Yeah.
with everybody and being like
And
celebrating
then that's
it.
such a different like experience. Wow, important
for-
to talk about too. So
Literally, I was like, for me, it was like just like I closed the laptop after turning in my final assignment, and like me and my boyfriend like just like. I don't even know what we did. I think we just went, woo, and high-fived.
this is it. I'm done.
I was like, don't have to pay any more tuition.
Wow, that's interesting.
That's really interesting. You know, Claribel, after leaving college, it usually means that you lose an existing support system, right? When you in university, you have your friends, you have family supporting you, even your teachers. So can you share some experiences on how you built and maintained like a new support system once you graduated?
I think for grad school, my support system, I was lucky enough to have the same support system like during grad school as well as after grad school. Because, so I'm from Fort Worth, and my family lives here. So I was lucky enough to actually live at home while being in grad school. So if you can do that, do it. It saves you money. So yeah, my family is like my biggest support system. So that's definitely something that didn't really change. But whenever I was in undergrad, so I went to A&M, so that's in College Station. So it was like, it's like 3 hours away from Fort Worth, but you know,
Very
like not
big campus.
huge campus.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a different transition. And like that's where I had a different support system, I guess, because obviously I had my family like just a call away, but it's different than actually being or living with them. So I had friends over there, like I had mentors. So, and everybody after graduation kind of went their own way. So obviously it's very sad and it's very different too that you come to like back home. And although you're with your family that you love, right? It's just different. So what I did kind of like whenever I came back to Fort Worth was just like reach out to like my friends, I guess, from high school, see how they're doing. Also just like, I guess, not reconnect, but kind of in a way reconnect with my family because it's like 4 years of not living with them. So yeah, that support system did change. But when it came to like grad school, it was basically the same. So it wasn't that much of a transition. But yeah.
I think like school-based like resources are so different from like, you know, undergrad to graduate to even post-graduation. Because like undergrad, they're still like, okay, like we're going to hold your hand through this. Like we will find it for you. Yeah. And you get to graduate school and they're like, okay, here's your limited options. You're the adult. I can give you the paper. You figure it out. And then when you exit, you're like, how do I find a therapist?
It's so different. And also, like, whenever you're in high school, that they're like, well, in college, they're going to do it like this. I'm like, no, they didn't. In college, a lot of professors were, like, teachers in high school. Like, they kind of reminded you, gave you all those reminders and all that. And then in grad school, it was very independent.
Yeah.
If you don't turn it, well, that's on you.
That's on you, exactly.
It's like, you didn't check your calendar. That's on you.
Like, you didn't see it. It was an announcement.
Exactly.
It's not my responsibility to tell you. I was like, we send out announcements for you to see and work on. It's not our job to remind you. I'm like, that is so different from undergraduation because like, you have this coming up, you got assignments, you have an exam next week. And we're like, yeah.
When you went to undergrad in India, right?
Yeah, I did.
I imagine that's probably a lot different, like cultural shock. If like you were to go to like A&M, I think you would be like, what?
No, literally.
What? There's just a cornfield to my right? Like, what is this? Where's the barn?
That is so true, yeah.
That is actually very true. Even Fort Worth, to be honest, was a culture shock because back in India, it's like you see people on the streets, you see people everywhere.
Very walkable.
Well, yeah, that too. Very walkable.
And here...
But here, you're just like, it's pin drop silence after like 6 p.m.
Yeah.
I'm like, where are the people?
And here, if you walk, you even feel weird. It's like, why am I walking to the store? But like, I'm doing something good for myself, but like, why am I walking to the store?
True, that was true.
Oh, that's very interesting. Yeah.
So reflecting on your journey, you know, of you being a recent graduate / from university, how have you balanced your career aspirations with the need for flexibility to adapt to like unexpected opportunities after college?
So my mentality I feel like sometimes it's different than to what people think, but I'm always open to opportunities. Like if opportunity presents itself in front of me, I usually take it.
Don't know when this will come again.
Might as well. It's going to teach me something. And I feel like a lot of people, I say that it's kind of unique to me because a lot of people are like, okay, no, I'm actually going to find something that's within my field that I love. But I truly believe that like the experiences that I've gotten that I'm like, okay, here's this opportunity. I take it. That teaches me something that eventually will prepare me for my actual career aspirations. Because I believe that every opportunity teaches you something that eventually is going to contribute in the long term. And, you know, with that, you build your experience. You meet new people that honestly those people might introduce you to somebody else. You know, you make those connections that are sometimes like, I kind of need it. And then you create mentorships as well. So I'm always very open to opportunities. But yeah.
No, I always like, because, like, you know, my, like, in undergrad, all of my internships or, like, jobs were just things that I kind of stumbled into.
Mm-hmm.
And I always told Drew this. I'm like, you can kind of, like, manipulate, like, your worldview
You
around
can,
things. And, like, when you're
yeah.
sitting at it and, like, Drew will be like, I don't know how this applies to, like, epidemiology, like, regarding her internship. And I'm like, here you go. I'm like, it's just how you word it. It's how you think about it.
Yeah, it is.
And so it's, like, going back to, like, your word of the day, like, looking at it from a positive mindset rather than being like, I'm a failure if I don't find something, like, within this box and kind of opening it up. I think that's really helpful.
Yeah, and I feel like eventually, like, you just have to be patient, too, with, like, your career aspirations. Because sometimes, like, so I have big dreams. And I feel like a lot of people do. But they take time and they take patience. And I feel like as new grads, we don't know that yet. Because we're like, I got my little degree. What's that little, like, a meme? Maybe, I don't know. But you get your little degree. And I'm like, okay, I can do everything. I can conquer the world. But it's like, no, that takes patience. You know, if there's an opportunity, like, big for you that honestly you love, take it. It's right there for you, right? But it takes time. So, and I think people just need to learn to be patient. And I'm a very patient person, so too. So
I second that. She's extremely patient.
Way too patient. So, I mean, for me, it's just like whatever comes my way, I'm thankful for it. I'll take it. I learn. And then if I don't like it, then okay, I'll leave. You know, look for something else. But yeah.
Such a great mindset.
Thanks.
It takes that's such a skill to learn too.
It is.
Like,
Taking
I assume your family, like, taught you that.
They kind of have. Yeah, and I'm also first gen, so I feel like being first.
Oh, definitely.
First gen is kind of just like, there's like, you're kind of like the first person doing a lot of these, like, both of my siblings, like, they went to school and everything. But I'm the first one that went to grad school out of all my family. So all of this process has been very new to me and to them as well. So that's why I'm just like, whatever comes my way, I'll take it. It'll be hopeful somehow. But yeah.
No, but that's like an amazing mindset to have. And like you said, initially when I did start this internship, I was like, this has nothing to do with my field. But when I started working with Sophia here on Lauren and Arve, it was just, okay, I can look at it this way and actually apply what I'm learning in a different way. It doesn't have to be directly, but there's always an indirect way I can apply what I'm learning to this. That was a learning phase. And I think I've kind of developed that mindset of just, if you get an opportunity, okay, take it.
Yeah.
And it'll always teach you something.
Definitely.
And I see that, like, the difference in me.
Yes.
Over the 2 years that I have been at this university, I can see the difference. And I'm like, I'm actually really grateful that I did meet people. Like, it's okay. Look at it a different way, and you will always learn something new.
Yeah, it's all about your mindset.
Shout out.
Yeah.
Shout out to OCC.
Shout out to her.
My co-host. Shout out to you.
Yeah, well, I think that falls, like, going, like, back off where you say, like, I always tell people, I'm like, I'm not afraid to make mistakes because I feel like no matter what, I'll make, like, a learning opportunity out of it. Like, and yeah, there's, like, big mistakes that you're like, oh, God, that costs money to fix. But then it's like, there's always just something. Yeah. And so, like, I'll sit there at night and I'll be, like, ruminating in my thoughts. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that.
Yeah.
And then on the other, like, flip side, I'm like, you know what? It's not going to kill anybody.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm fine.
I know
not to
It is
do
a
that.
learning experience. Like, a mistake is a learning experience, honestly.
It is.
Like,
It is.
Yeah.
It reminds me of that meme. It's like, I know I can do it. I just have to panic first.
Yeah.
Like, that's the way I deal with stuff.
Austin
So I'm
sent me that meme. He was like, this is you. And it was like,
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, it's like, I'll get through it, but I just have to tantrum about it first.
Yep.
And I was like, dude.
And that's totally fine.
Exactly.
He was like, I will be crying while I do it, but I will do it.
There you go.
We will get it done. It's just we need to, have that moment to ourselves, jokes apart, but have that moment to ourselves to actually understand what's happening and then find a solution to it.
Yeah.
I feel like that's more important instead of just like reacting to what's just happened in a second and take a decision, because that is bad.
Yeah.
When you take a decision in that moment, do not recommend. Okay. So when you were applying for jobs, now this is something for all the recent graduates and the people who are graduating now. That can be very daunting, right? You're looking for new jobs. You don't know where to apply. So how did you manage it while also maintaining your well-being, like your mental health?
So I was lucky enough to have actually a job offer after graduating. from grad school. So I think my experience with that has been a little bit different in the sense that I already had something lined up in a way. The position opened up, and like this is where the mindset of like be open to opportunities comes into mind, right? And it was with my current job, which is at Healthy Start here on campus. Shout out to Healthy Start. I love it.
Yes, please.
The best.
It is a good resource. Go ahead and check it out.
Oh, yeah. And, I had done with them like a full-on internship. Like I did my internship with them because it's a requirement for school public health. And I love the team. I love the environment. And I thought it would be great to just like continue learning. So, yeah, I took it. And honestly, I did learn a lot. It was a great place where that's where I learned to, like, it's okay to make mistakes, right? Like, you have to be in places where they allow you to actually make mistakes.
Yes.
It's so important, and that's why I'm so thankful, actually, for taking that opportunity, because it taught me so much, obviously, like, career-wise, and just about myself. But the job process, though, I feel like right now it's a very difficult job market in a sense, because it's long. Like I'm actually leaving Healthy Start. I recently got a new position. But the job process is just like you do the application and then, okay, you send out your documents or whatever. They call you for an interview. It's not just for first interview. You have
preliminary.
A second interview. Exactly. Then that second interview, then a third interview. And some jobs like even do a fourth interview. And it's wild to me because I'm like, okay, tell me yes or no. And I feel like a lot of people go through that and they don't expect to go through that. So it's a very difficult like job market. But I guess maintaining my mental health is just being patient. Like I just can't. Because it's difficult, and I feel like you can beat yourself up like, okay, I don't have the qualifications. Okay, I don't have what they need. But honestly, just apply.
No, because that's something that we all think about. Like we were discussing about jobs like last week in the library, and we were like, are we even, do we even qualify for these?
Yeah.
We don't even know. Look at the job description. And I'm like, I don't know. What they want from us is just completely different from what we learned. But a friend of mine just said, just apply. What's the worst that can happen? They'll say no.
And honestly, if you think about it this way, so if you don't apply, you're telling yourself no before they tell you no. So it's like, yeah, I might not have the qualifications, but who knows? Maybe the interview goes well, they like me, and I don't know, I get the job. So it's like, and worst thing they can do is say no. Okay, move on. That's not it. That just wasn't meant for you.
Yeah, to quote the fabulous Lauren Carter, do not be the one to tell yourself no.
Exactly.
She told me that like a month into my internship, and I was like, okay.
It's very true, though.
It is true. It is true. It's just that sometimes it is still a little overwhelming to look at all those jobs that are there and to understand how to apply or how to make your... Like people say, how do you sell yourself?
Yeah.
So people actually give you, interviews. Because from what we've heard is that usually your resume, if it doesn't, have these certain words, it's kind of filtered out in an HR, even though you may be the candidate. So that kind of scares us a lot to even start applying for these jobs. Like if it's going to get rejected anyway, why bother? But then you're like, if I don't apply... I may not get a job. So what do I do? Like, how do I maintain that? You said you run, right? Does that help you in like, when you're feeling overwhelmed, even thinking about all this, did that help you?
Working out is like, okay, so whenever I was in grad school, obviously I was working out and that helped so much. But now I have all this free time, right? I'm not a student anymore. And that has been so helpful too, which is like life stress, right? But like, running honestly helps me out a lot. My dad's a runner, so I feel like I was like, let me be like my dad. So I'm like, let me run. And it's very therapeutic. I feel like right now everyone's in the running era too. So yeah, I don't know. I've been running for
it's like a
year,
spot that you love to.
Yeah, Trinity, definitely great place because Trinity just kind of connects all the way to like, kind of Montgomery Plaza, that side, and then it goes all the way down to like Clear Fork, and great space to run. I also run like near my house. Definitely very therapeutic. But yeah, it helps with the stress of life.
Yeah. Well, I think, job searching such a unique experience to everybody. Like, yes, it's, overwhelming for everybody and everybody's kind of in the same boat. But, like, what you're looking for isn't going to be the same as the person next to you. And, to put in perspective, like, each job opportunity is going to be different. Like, when I applied here at HSC, it took them, like, less than a month to get back to me. And so it's, like, kind of narrowing down those opportunities that, like, kind of also speak to your values and, like, what you believe in. But, yeah, career readiness.
I know. I've been using it.
It's a great resource to start with. They do a lot.
I've been using it.
They'll help you do your resume. They'll help you interview prep.
Yes, because whenever I was a student, we had a professional development with them. We did, like, interviews, and I think we had our resume printed out or something. I can't remember, but it was pretty cool because obviously I had done job interviews before, but it was different in the sense that this is like a big girl job, right? So obviously it was like a mock interview or whatever, but it was so helpful because after the interview ended, she told me what I did right, what I could improve on. I know it was just like one mock interview, but that helped out a lot. So that resource is there. And I really think students should utilize it because going into, like, an interview, it's, like, it's intimidating.
It is.
Like, all these, like, people with, like, big, like, credentials, and you're kind of like, oh, I'm recent grad. Hey,
exactly.
Hire me, I need a job. So it's very intimidating. So if you get that little bit of a practice, like, it helps out. Honestly.
True. I've just started using, Nija is helping me with my resume, my CV, and my LinkedIn profile. She looks at my LinkedIn, she's like, oh, you've got such a great resume. Why is it not reflected on your LinkedIn? I was like, because I wasn't active. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, and that's like LinkedIn. There's so many social media apps and then just like apps like LinkedIn where it's really helpful to network because, I have people who are like out of state that I'm like, I've never actually met you, but I love what you do. Let me connect with you.
Yeah.
And that's like kind of reflects, and that way you're able to go into those job like opportunities or even like outside just like talking with other professionals and be like, oh yeah, like I was speaking with so and so, like I have this idea for this and that. And so
that's true. But also one of her professional developments, she kind of gave us resources that are not just LinkedIn. And that we still as HSC students can use to like upload your resume, look for jobs, and that I think kind of helped us reduce our anxiety a little bit because we're like, LinkedIn's not the only place. We know where else to apply.
Yeah. I was like, Indeed, Handshake.
Exactly.
Yeah. I was like,
she gave us like a whole list. She was like, you can go here, you can go here. This website will help you with your resume. It'll at least tell you like what words should be in your resume when you apply for jobs. And I was like, wow, I love this. Thank you so much.
And I feel like whenever talking about LinkedIn, I feel like LinkedIn is such a great tool, but you need to know how to use it.
Yeah.
Because LinkedIn can be like, if you're in the process of like finding a job and you're like not having luck, you go into LinkedIn and then you see all these people with like job opportunities, right? And I know comparison is the thief of joy, like truly. And you go into LinkedIn sometimes whenever you're like looking for jobs and stuff and you're kind of like, what am I doing wrong? So I feel like LinkedIn, it's an amazing resource, but you have to know how to use it.
Actually, it's like even then she tells me, she's like, you should know how to sell yourself even on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Like make sure you interact with people or you just there's reposts you like and follow whatever you are passionate about. And I'm like, I never thought about it that way. I just made a LinkedIn profile because, everyone was making a LinkedIn profile.
Yeah.
But now she's like, there's ways you can use it to boost yourself and also like look for jobs or even connect with good people.
Yeah.
And I never thought of it that way. But she's like, you can do it.
Okay. It's like a fake it till you make it person, like mindset. You're like, I'm not totally confident in what I'm doing, but I'm going to post about it anyway because I'm sure there's one person who cares.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I did that. I was like, I posted my the link to this podcast, and I was like, I don't know if people care about it, but hey.
I'm going to go in there and I'm going to like it.
Thank you so much.
So, I mean, like, if it's something you're going to put on your resume, go ahead and post about it on your LinkedIn.
Sure.
Yeah, that's
sure.
true, for sure. So we talked about the resources that you used from this university and even just by yourself, right? So what advice would you give to students about to graduate who need a little more confidence during this job application process. I'm listening because, hey, I'm going to use it. Don't forget, I'm graduating in a month.
So when it comes to resumes and cover letters, so something that a little tool that my brother actually shared with me, because my brother did business, so I feel like he knows like the ins and outs of like business, right? He's an accountant, but so always tailor your resume and your cover letter as like the job description. So always make sure you read the job description. Very important, obviously. You need to know what you're going to be doing. So just make sure that in your resume you kind of reflect some of those skills that they're requiring you for that job. So let's say, I don't know, this job requires you to do some data stuff. Obviously in your resume you need to have something like I've worked with in, I don't know, Excel, SAS, or whatever. Also in your cover letter. So the way I see a cover letter is kind of like a summary of why you should get the job as well as your resume. Because in a way, you're also explaining what you've done in a cover letter. And cover letters shouldn't be that long, so you need to be...
It's like a paragraph to 2 paragraphs. Don't make them read like a lecture.
Imagine that. They'll be like, no.
Save it for the interview. You want the cover letter is a taste of who you are.
It truly is.
It's a little bit of a hint. It's the, back cover of a book, essentially.
But you have to be kind of intentional, too, with the cover letter because some jobs require it. But even then, like, if the job doesn't require a cover letter, I think you should still submit one. I don't know. Be an overachiever.
And I think also,
Be an overachiever.
Yeah.
Why are you stopping there?
Why not?
well, and something that I always did was like 30 seconds of research into the company or institution I'm applying for. And I mean, again, it's like looking at the front page of their website.
Yeah.
And it's like finding one thing that stands out to me and then either including why, like, I would be a good fit for, like, that one specific part of it, or just, like, mentioning that in, like, interviews. And they're, like, when they're asking, like, the cover, like, why do you want to apply here? And it's like, well, I saw that you do this or this.
Yeah.
And it really speaks to me. I'm really passionate about this. I think it really shows, like, one, like, you have the time to do the research and you care enough to do the research. And then also you're better able to actually connect why you would actually
apply
there.
for that job. I get that. I understand that.
Yeah.
I think Naisha was the one who told me, she's like, so when you look for jobs, usually, or if they post, like, the recruiters who are recruiting, they post their profile. So, like, go to that profile and see what they're doing, see their interests. That also helps. And just reach out to them. Like, when you applied for that position, just say that, hey, I've applied for this position. I'm so excited. So, like, don't shy away from just reaching out to people.
That's
I was like, that is something that I am so bad at. Because I just don't know how to approach someone you've never seen, but you do admire the work they do and come across as, I like what you do, but don't think I am, like, just...
Don't think I'm creepy.
Exactly. I was actually going to, like, please don't think I'm creepy.
Well, you don't want to, like, be, like, calling them or, like, messaging them and being like, hey, like, any updates on it. But you do want to be like, hey, like, I'm thankful for the opportunity to apply.
Definitely.
And then when you're done with the interview, being like, thank you so much for taking time out of your day. I really appreciated what you had to say about X, Y, and Z. I hope that, my X, Y, and Z, like, is applicable.
Yeah.
If you have any other questions, like, please don't hesitate.
Definitely. I would also say another tip, be yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You want to be in a place or a company where they appreciate you. Because I feel like a lot of people kind of change as in, like, I'm going to be this person that I'm not usually are. But for me, I think my whole, how do I say it? I guess motto is just like, I like being myself. I like myself. So whenever I go into interviews, the same way that I am with my family, the same way that I'm being right now, that's how I am. Like, for the current position that I got in the interview, I know maybe people shouldn't do this, but it just kind of came out. I just said period. And I mean, they hired me, and that kind of, like, gave me okay, they like me for me. So I think you should really be, like, authentic and just, like, your intentions and just, like, obviously during the job interview process too, because I actually got a rejection from another job where they rejected me because I don't think I spoke the way they wanted me to speak. Because I'm ESL, like, I actually lived in Mexico. I was raised in Mexico, so I speak Spanish. And they said that my language or my grammar wasn't very advanced.
Excuse me? I mean,
exactly. And
here's my diploma that says I make it just fine.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, is that interfering with, like, my ability to do a job or something? So to me, I took that as a way, okay, rejection is redirection. That job wasn't for me. So I found a place where I feel like, honestly, the place where I'm at right now too, they just appreciate me. And I love that. You want to be comfortable in your job, you know? Because if you think about it, your job, you're there like...
So much.
You're there so much. 5 days.
I do love my job, but so much.
Yeah. So it's like you want to be in a place where you're comfortable. But yeah, definitely just be yourself. I would say that too.
Yeah. Well, that goes back to like finding opportunities that align with your values.
Definitely.
And like your own purpose. Because yeah, like you don't want to like hide yourself for 40 hours a week. That's a lot of masking, and that's really emotionally exhausting.
I can't do that.
It feels like
I gotta be loud. No, I'm just
yeah, no, I gotta say my memes, okay?
It's so true.
No, but yeah, it can feel exhausting and draining, like physically and emotionally, if you just have to be someone else at your job, like throughout the day, and then you go home and just turn to a different person. I mean,
like, oh, let me switch personality now.
that was my job personality. Let me switch back to the way I'm at home.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like you still, obviously, you're in like a job, like a work environment, so you have to keep it professional, respectful. Obviously, those are things that I shouldn't even have to say because you should implement them anyways.
Yes.
But
Claribel gave me permission to do this.
No, you still have to do all that, but just, be yourself.
Yeah, so when you're in an interview, for example, when you interviewed for all these 3 interviews, how do you keep yourself from, feeling that anxiety all the time that am I going to get a second interview? And if I don't, then what's going to happen? Like you're so invested in the process already. And then when you get rejected or if you're not called in for another interview, how do you deal with that? I know you said patience, but like you can't be patient all the time.
Yeah, no, definitely. I feel like you kind of know though. Whenever you are in the interview process, they usually tell you how they don't tell you directly, but they make little comments or like they kind of let you know that you're doing good or maybe you're not the best. Because let's say they ask you like, have you done this specific thing? No, I have not. Obviously, I don't know. I'm not gonna lie into like doing a skill that I don't have. Like I'll be honest about it. Be like, I haven't done it, but I'm open to learning it.
That's how you redirect it.
Exactly. Yes. Exactly. So just be like, I'm open to learning it. I'm a fast learner, which I am. You gotta be truthful as well to like what you're saying. But obviously the rejection, I feel like sometimes you kind of expect it because of the vibes that you feel during the interview. So you kind of know, okay, maybe this didn't work out. And you also kind of feel it in yourself. Like, maybe I didn't do so good. And yeah, you beat yourself up to it, honestly. Like, yeah, I can be positive in all this, but it hurts. Be like, I really wanted this job, but it didn't work out. And I think that's where you have to be like, okay, this wasn't meant to be. Another opportunity is going to come like in my way, and I got to be, thankful for that. And also look at it from a learning experience. You go, even if you don't get the job, you get 3 practice interviews, basically.
That's a good mindset.
Yeah, which eventually can help you for your next probably 3 interviews. But yeah, I think it's just practice. But yeah, it's very like you just have to be optimistic. Like, yeah, you're allowed to feel a little sad. You're allowed to feel like maybe I wasn't good enough. But just deep down know that you are good enough. Like, there's going to be a job that's going to hire you and that's going to want you. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, I would always tell myself, like, at least I was a competitive candidate.
Exactly.
I made it harder for them to narrow down.
Period.
Their person.
That's actually a really good way of thinking it, too.
And also companies also sometimes let you know, like, hey, this is a process. Like, we haven't gotten back because this is going on. I think if a company does that, that tells you that that company is good. Like, I'm just going to put it out there because some companies ghost you.
They do, and it's rude. Or they email you back after 3 months.
It's so annoying, and I'm just like, after 3 months, it's like, okay, you're late.
Yeah, I'm like, what was this job for?
Literally, it's like, what? So if a company, like, at least that kind of gives you, like, peace of mind a little bit. Like, I still don't know, but okay, they're giving me updates, so definitely good. But yeah.
It is really helpful because, like I said, we don't even know how many jobs you should apply to. Everyone's like, just apply to everything you can. And I'm like, you know how exhausting that is?
It is
to
exhausting.
Like look at every job description, change your resume, change your cover letter, and then apply just to get probably not get an answer or get rejected. And even something that I feel, with these websites like LinkedIn, how do you know they're authentic? Like, you can just find people on there.
True.
So you don't even know if the recruiters who reach out to you are authentic.
The way I do it is that I never, let's say the job posting is on Indeed or LinkedIn,
Mm-hmm.
so I would never apply there. I would go to the actually company's website and apply there. Because it just feels more authentic too, in a way. Because sometimes you go into LinkedIn, then you see a position and it has like 130 applicants. I'm like, girl, they're not going to look at my application. So I just go, I don't know why. I feel more comfortable going into the actually company's website. Because there you see that the position is actually posted. And then sometimes LinkedIn, it's like, is this real or not?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would advise, like, just applying the company's website.
That would be
I don't know if
helpful.
that makes a difference, but...
It actually kind of does. Also, I think it helps you understand if the company is a better fit for you.
Yeah,
Because you
that too.
wouldn't know just from a job description what they're saying is what you really want to do.
Yeah.
So I think that's like a good way of doing your own research and being sure that, okay, I really want this job. Let's try to get this done. Instead of applying for like 60 jobs and be like, I don't have a reply. I have a rejection. And honestly, because you look at all those, there's an entire list of jobs that you can apply for. I'm like, do people even apply for this?
Yeah.
If they do, why are they still here? Like,
I know.
have they
I
not found
saw
people?
when I was gearing up to like graduate. I saw, of course, you're Googling. You're like, how do I apply for a job? How do I get the job? And somebody was saying how this might have been undergrad. They like had downloaded like LinkedIn or Indeed on their phone. They had also uploaded like their resume and like Word doc so they can work on it like from wherever. And as soon as they had like the notification set up, and so as soon as like a job app would like come up on Indeed, they'd pull it up, grab their resume, make sure it fit, do it, and then write up a quick cover letter and send it off. Don't do that. Take care of yourself. Don't be haunted by jobs.
Say what?
But that's like another way, like having those notifications on and then setting aside time in your day to, because I mean, like, Indeed, for example, will hold all of those notifications.
Yeah.
In its little notification center that you can go through and it'll be like, oh, like there's 27 new jobs for this thing. And so I think like setting aside time in your day and then like, for every 10, 15, however many jobs you apply for, give yourself a break. Give yourself a pat on the back because it's a lot of work and it's so emotionally draining and it's hard to sit there and be like, I deserve to eat.
Yes.
And be paid money. Please.
Yeah. And also whenever you're looking for jobs, play with the wording. So I think it's so important because let's say, I don't know, I'm looking for a program manager position or something. You put program manager, but then you get all of these companies you get construction companies, you get like
it's like business, like accounting, and I'm like,
you get so much, and I'm just like, I don't want this. Like, this is not the program manager I was actually looking for. But so just play with like the wording, be like health, I don't know, specialist,
Community.
public health, community health. Just play with the words and see what you can find. Because like a lot of like the jobs, I guess, in the public health field, many of them don't really have public health.
No, they don't.
They really don't. But like you read the description and it's like, oh, this is public health. Like, why are we not calling it that? Right? So you just have to play with the wording to find opportunities that actually like align with what you want to do. So yeah.
Yeah, and don't be afraid. I mean, like when you see like the minimum qualifications, just ignore it.
Just apply.
Yeah.
Just apply.
Like if you look at like, the key skills in the role and you're like, I could do that. Or if there's like 1 out of, 10 roles that you're just like, oh, I don't know about that, like, job aspect, still apply.
Yeah.
Like it, like I'm sure like you feel the same way. Like when I got into this role, like there are things I didn't know that I had to learn. It's all on a learning curve.
Literally, because sometimes school doesn't really teach you what the actual job is going to teach you. So, yeah, if you don't know how to do something, it's okay. Like, you're going to learn. If it's in the job description, I'm sorry, you have to learn it. You can't just be like, it's like, no, I don't want to do this.
Or odds are, I mean, something you can Google.
Yeah, exactly.
Most of the time, I think it is something you can Google.
Yeah.
But also, so I think 2 days ago, we had a class with public health, people from Tarrant County come in, like the data analysts come in.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
they gave us like a good lecture on, what they're doing and what they do with the data and everything. But after that, we started talking about jobs, like, because
everyone's curious about jobs in their
we were
last
all
semester.
curious about jobs. They're like, how do you apply for this? Like, what do you expect? And both of them, like, we didn't go in knowing everything. We just learned it on the job. So I'm like, that is something that you can also think that when you said in interviews, like, I may not know this, but I'm open to learning it.
Exactly.
It's actually helpful. And if you keep that mindset that it's okay, I may not know this, it may take me a few months to learn, but that's what I'm here for.
Yeah.
Exactly. You're there to learn. They picked you for a reason.
They picked you
about it
for a
that way.
reason.
And it's always reassuring. Like, you know, I always kind of remind myself, like in job interviews, that the person interviewing me was also in my shoes at some point. And so, you know, whether they're like 2 years, you know, 10 years removed from it, I'm like, at one point you were also a beginner in this role. Help kind of pull back the curtain.
Actually, that kind of makes you less anxious, actually. Think about it that way, that, hey, they were in your shoes at some point in time.
We're all amateurs.
Like, they can get there,
And
so can you.
and honestly, ask them questions, because you're also have to think about it in a way that you're also interviewing them.
Yeah.
Because why do I want to work for you?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I need a job, you know, but like, you know, is this actually a good place for me? I always like to ask, like, in interviews, like, what are, I guess, challenges that you experience, and what are your favorite moments in the job? Favorite moments also obviously lets you know, like, okay, you know, they thrive by doing this.
Yeah.
And then challenges that also, like, lets you know, okay, maybe this is going to be a difficult part of the job. Do I actually want to do this? But, you know, I think about it in the way that you're interviewing them as well. So
always ask questions, right? I think
Yeah.
that is something that even when we were getting matched for internships, that was something that not all of us did. That we never asked them what they expected us to do. But when I did some research, we didn't. Not a lot of people do, because they don't know. For someone who's like interviewing for the first time for anything,
That's
you never
true.
know that you can also ask questions, and it's okay to do that. You can ask them what they want from you, or what is a challenge, and things like Claribel said.
Expectations, yeah.
Expectations from you.
Yeah.
But not all of us do that, especially when we come from different countries where we did not have any experience.
Yeah.
That was hard.
I feel like culturally we've made interviewing a game.
Exactly.
We're like a
Truly.
chess match, and we're like, how do I win this?
Truly. It's so much
Seriously.
different. Yeah. It's so true.
So, like, the first round of interviews, we were all like, I didn't know we could do that. And then when I did some research, like, you know, you can ask these questions. Go ahead. And then you see the demeanor change. When you ask them questions, they're like, oh, she's actually interested. And then they kind of change the way they even talk to you. I'm like, that was something that's really subtle, but you can see it. You can see that just change the way they ask you questions. Or like, okay, she seems interested. She's asking me questions too.
And do follow-up questions too. Like, be an active listener. Jobs like that. I think people in general just like that. Be like, oh, you heard I said this? Okay, let's talk about it more. And people like that. I think it's just like a trait that humans like. Like, they like it whenever you're interested about something. So whenever you're in a job, let's say, I don't know, it's probably not, because usually at the end of the job interview, they're like, okay, do you have any questions for me? Actually, like, if you have a question in the middle of the interview, just ask it. What are they going to say? I can't answer. Let's move on.
Please save all questions until the end of the presentation.
Exactly. Imagine if they do that. Oh,
That would be so weird.
embarrassing. Like, I'm sorry. But no, just like, if you find like yourself having a question like about something, whatever that they mention or something, just ask it. They're gonna be like, oh, she's listening. She's got this.
Yeah, go in with your base questions, and then you know, it's like anything. And some jobs now, they'll give you the questions ahead of time.
Yeah.
They do that?
Some jobs do.
Yeah.
That's
They
interesting.
kind of prepare you.
Yeah, I was like, again, like, nobody wants to, like, what is it? Like, keep you on your toes
Yeah.
about it. Because it's like, what's the point of having you be, like, unprepared for the job? And so.
They send out agendas and everything. I would also try make sure that jobs are transparent with like the pay. I think it's so important, because imagine, or you ask the question, although I feel like talking about pay is sometimes intimidating for some people. Why? I don't know. You're going to be doing a job that you're going to have to pay, but it's definitely intimidating for me, honestly. But you have to know up front, because what if you go through like all these 4 interviews, this 3-month process, and they give you like a pay range that just doesn't align with what you want and honestly what you're worth, because you're going to work for them.
So usually, can you ask these questions during the interview? Like, I'm pretty sure
They should tell you.
a lot of
upfront.
people, they do tell you. Even it's probably even mentioned in the job description, like they have a pay range, but you can talk about it in your interview and kind of negotiate around that.
Yeah. I mean, some jobs nowadays, they don't post the pay in the job and then they'll ask you what your pay preference is.
Oh.
Yeah, like they won't even tell you. They'll be like, what's like your expected pay?
You can be like, what's your budget?
Yeah, and that's what you say. You're like, well, what's allocated?
Yeah.
Like what's available? And then also do your research for like what the average.
That's true. That's very true.
So just like basic research on how much usually a person at that position is paid.
Yeah. And also sometimes you can also look like the company. So like how much does this company pay for the specific position?
But like always give them like a range. I always think that that's a good idea because then it's like
that's true.
They have that, good spot to actually settle on what they think.
So even when you're doing research, just make sure that you have like a range in mind instead of just going in with like a set 60,000. That's it. Not 1 cent more. Not 1 cent less.
Well, because like you never know, because you can be like oh, I expect like 55 to 60 for this, and you're expecting them to go with okay, we'll pay you 55, but in reality like they're like okay, we'll pay you 59, and they'll actually like go on the higher end, and so don't cut yourself short.
Definitely.
Good tips. Thank you. Any last tips? Like the one thing that they should make sure that they keep in mind when they're looking for jobs, like just the one thing.
I think using career readiness, like the money paid to the school pays for career readiness.
Might as well.
It's a free resource. They also have a clothes closet. So if you're short on cash or you just want to like kind of spruce up an interview outfit,
so cool.
They have a clothes closet, second floor of the Student Services Center. It's kind of tucked away, completely anonymous. Take some clothes. They're all professional, business casual.
Yeah.
Yep. I love that aspect that it's anonymous and nobody knows.
That's so cool.
That you can actually donate to any clothes that you do have that you know you're not going to use that are in good condition, you can always donate. That can help someone else.
Yeah. I think SARC is actually the Student Assistance Resource Center is in charge of the clothes closet. But them and then like career readiness, like you'll be set for life.
I would say also use your professors. Your professors are amazing people that are there for you. Shout out to Dr. Greiner. She was first my professor, and then she became the director of the maternal and child health program. So she was our advisor, and she was so helpful because she was so real, like in the sense that this could happen and this might not go your way, this might go your way, but also like if you need some tips in like the job application process, and also they're professors, they know people. So it's like if you are applying to like this company that maybe they have worked with, they're gonna have that connection. Like obviously the job is not guaranteed, but they're gonna be like, hey, my old student, she's really great, she's applying for this position, so just keep her in mind, something like that, right? So definitely utilize your professors. And also I haven't used her for this, so it's kind of weird, but she always like encouraged us if we want to know how to like negotiate salary to let her know. So your professors know so much, so appreciate them and just literally go up to them, because what are they going to say? Also, no?
Exactly.
No, they're not. Like, they're professors for a reason. Like, they want to help students. So definitely utilize your professors and your mentors. They've gone through the process, so they know what it's like. But yeah, be optimistic and be positive. It's a hard transition, and sometimes like the job process is just meh. But yeah, just be positive. Like, something's gonna come your way. If it takes a couple of weeks, that is okay. Just stay positive. With a positive mindset, I truly believe that things just come your way. But yeah, that's my best advice.
Yeah, don't forget, don't be afraid to like step out of the box too.
Exactly.
Like you said at the very beginning, like just every experience is an experience.
Yeah, it's gonna be worth it. So yeah, you use it in some way.
Also reiterating, it's a long process, so patience, right? You're probably not going to hear back from people in a week.
No,
maybe
probably
more.
Not.
So patience, and don't think just because you haven't heard back that you haven't got it. Also, it's okay to reach out back to them, right? If you haven't heard about it.
It is, You have the right to do so. Like, if you want to know what the process is, like how everything's going, you're allowed to do so.
Yeah, well, I think just like ask them like what the process is, like when your interview's like concluded and stuff, and that way, like, if they said, oh, we'll respond to you in 2 weeks, and it's been 3, you can be like, hey, just checking in. Like, I was told this. Like, how's it going?
Okay, that makes me feel relieved. I hope the listeners also feel relieved. So thank you, Claribel, for sharing your insights and experience with us. It's been a pleasure having you on the show.
Of course. I love being here. This is so fun. I love to talk too, so I'm like, this was perfect. I can just let it out. Fun. And honestly, like, I hope my tips are helpful for people.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, y'all got it. Good luck. Everything's going to work out in the end. Like,
Yes, people,
yeah.
everything will work out in the end.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's all for today's episode of Wellbeing Unlocked. Join us next time as we continue exploring the factors shaping student well-being. Until then, take care and stay well.